All right, let's dive into a story that's sitting right at the intersection of political power, bleeding-edge technology, and, well, a truly mind-boggling amount of money. We're going to unpack how one family's venture into crypto isn't just about getting rich, it's about fundamentally reshaping the future of the digital dollar.
So let's just start with this number, because it's impossible to ignore. $5 billion. That is the paper valuation, the on-paper worth, of the Trump family's stake in one single crypto project. It's called World Liberty Financial. And get this, forensic analysis suggests this one digital holding, which they can't even sell yet, is now worth more on paper than their entire famous real estate portfolio. Just let that sink in.
So the obvious question is, how? How on earth does a crypto project, even one with a famous name attached, get this valuable this fast? Is it some kind of genius tech that's going to change the world, a revolutionary new business model? Or is there something else going on behind the curtain? That's what we're here to figure out.
And before we even get into the valuation, here's where it gets even weirder. Just look at this. As of early 2026, a staggering 87% of the project's stablecoin, USD1, was parked on one single crypto exchange, Binance. Now, for a project that wants to be a global digital dollar, having almost all your eggs in one basket like that, that's not just unusual, it's practically unheard of, and it raises some serious questions about what's really going on here.
Okay, first up, let's tackle that $5 billion number. We need to break down the mechanics behind this crypto fortune, because it's definitely not as simple as having cash in the bank. You really have to understand the model to see the full picture.
So, at the center of this whole thing is a company called World Liberty Finance, or WFI for short. They call themselves a hybrid finance protocol, and their goal is, incredibly ambitious. They essentially want to build a superhighway between the old-school world of Wall Street banking and the new, fast-moving world of decentralized finance, or DeFi.
So how do you conjure up a $5 billion valuation? Well, it's a classic crypto playbook, what analysts call the low-float, high FDV model. Here's how it works. There's a total supply of 100 billion WLFI tokens, but only a tiny fraction of them are actually being traded on the open market. Since the supply is so small, it doesn't take much buying to make the price shoot way up. And the Trump family's massive 22.5 billion token stake? It's locked. They can't sell it. But you take the high price of those few circulating tokens and multiply it by that enormous locked stake, and voila, you get a nearly $5 billion paper valuation.
Now, this next part is absolutely crucial to understanding how this whole machine works. You have to know that it's built on two completely different kinds of tokens. It's like the engine versus the equity.
Think of it like a car company. On one hand, you've got USD1. That's the engine, or maybe the gasoline. It's the stablecoin. It's supposed to always be worth $1. It's backed by real stuff, like cash, and it makes everything run. It's the utility. But then you have WLFI. That's not the engine, that's the stock in the car company. It's the speculative part. Its value goes up or down based on whether people think the company will succeed. And that is where the family's $5 billion stake is held. Not in the stable utility coin, but in the speculative equity token.
And you can see it plain as day right here in their own token chart. See that huge slice of the pie? 22.5% of the entire supply, that's 22.5 billion tokens, was allocated directly to the Trump family's entity right from the start. That is a massive concentration of ownership, an enormous insider stake baked in from day one.
Okay, so you have this $5 billion paper fortune. It's sitting there, locked up, illiquid, you can't spend it. So, what's the plan? How do you turn that into cold, hard cash? Well, analysts say the strategy is a multi-step game plan that some are calling the regulatory capture playbook.
And this is a long game. Step 1, you launch looking as compliant as possible. Step 2, you help encourage friendly laws like the Genius Act to create a smooth path for yourself. Step 3 is the checkmate move. You apply to become an actual federally chartered bank. And the end game, the ultimate goal, to become the government-approved de facto digital dollar. That kind of approval would unleash a flood of money from big institutions, making the project too big to fail, and finally creating enough liquidity for insiders to start cashing out those billions in WLFI tokens.
And hey, don't just take our word for it. They're saying the quiet part out loud. The president of their trust company, Zach Witkoff, said it himself. Getting that national banking license isn't just an idea. He called it a cornerstone of their strategy. It's the whole plan.
But this strategy isn't happening in a bubble.
To really get what's going on, you have to zoom out and look at this tangled web of international players, foreign money, and political moves that all seem to point directly at this one project.
Just look at this sequence of events. In October 2025, the founder of Binance gets a presidential pardon. Just 2 months later, Binance launches a massive $40 million promotion specifically for USD1 holders. The very next month, a sovereign wealth fund from the UAE pumps $2 billion into Binance using USD1. And by the next month, bam, 87% of all USD1 is sitting on Binance. I mean, you can connect those dots for yourself.
And the web just keeps growing. You've got Justin Sun, another crypto billionaire, who puts $30 million into WLFI, and soon after reports say an SEC investigation into him gets dropped. Sun himself even tweeted that he was buying tokens to, and I'm quoting here, curry favor. He's not even hiding it. He's explicitly saying his investment is about gaining political influence.
So you put all this together, and you have to ask, what is this thing really trying to be? Is this a genuine plan to create the future digital dollar and bring order to crypto? Or is it something else? There are two very, very different ways to look at this whole thing.
So the bull case, the optimistic take you'll hear, is that WLFI could become a sort of Federal Reserve for crypto. The idea is that it would be so big, so regulated, that it could bring stability to the whole ecosystem, acting as a lender of last resort and ensuring that the US dollar dominates the digital future. It's presented as a patriotic, game-changing mission.
But then there's the other side of the coin. As this analysis from GateLearn puts it so well, the real controversy, the thing you can't ignore, is the massive potential for regulatory bias. The family's deep financial involvement creates an almost unavoidable conflict of interest when that same family is in charge of the government that's supposed to regulate it.
Let me just boil it down to the absolute core issue. The family that founded this project and stands to make billions if it succeeds is also in charge of the very government agency, the OCC, that has the power to approve or deny its banking license. The regulator and the regulated are, well, family. That line between private business and state power isn't just blurred, it's practically erased.
And all of this, it really leaves us with one final, deeply unsettling question. When you merge state power and private finance this tightly, especially on something as powerful as the blockchain, you have to wonder who this system is really being built for. Who is the customer here, and who or what is ultimately the product?